Appreciate you so much for being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Can't thank you enough for being with us on the many outlets that you can watch and listen live. So wherever you are and however you're tuning in, thank you so much for being a part of Wake Up Call. As I said here, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We have a great show set up for you here on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, as inside of Ma and Pa's popcorn.com's What's Poppin', bringing you our list of topics and guests for the day. We're going to start off in hour number one with a good friend of mine, Scott Landers, who I'm calling Mr. 300 here today. So excited to have him here on the broadcast. Scott Landers of the Oswego State Lakers baseball team. Their head coach just got his 300th career win at Oswego, 300 wins in 450 games, and we continue to count forward here, so twice as many wins as losses. And we'll talk with him about the current season and so much more, as well as his history. And we appreciate your patience this morning, as him and I were joking a little bit off the air and having some fun here today. So Scott Landers joining us in just a moment. And in hour number two, to carry us through the second hour from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll head to the NBA playoffs with Dave Pasiak, longtime basketball head coach and analyst, and the NVU-Lyndon's men's basketball head coach currently. And we'll round out the show as we always do on a Tuesday with the ingredients to success, proudly presented by the fantastic team at Avicolli's on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, right down the road from Liverpool High School, and the home of our Liverpool Warriors monthly broadcast, centering on student athletes, coaches, and administration. So, with that being said, let's bring in my man of the first hour here, Mr. Scott Landers. Scott, how are we doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Dan.
Absolutely, and I've been calling you Mr. 300. Can that continue? Are you okay with that?
Well, hopefully it changes today.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing about it is calling you Mr. 300, then I can call you Mr. 301, Mr. 310. The hope is it continues to grow forward and move forward here, but congratulations on 300 career wins for any sport, anywhere, any division. Not an easy feat to accomplish, and I definitely appreciate and I'm happy that it happened to a friend. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So bring me into it. It was a doubleheader split that you got the 300th. Knowing you well enough, you wanted both games. But did you take some time to reflect on 300? I know that you got called into a room where the team surprised you, and there was a banner and everybody was waiting there for you. So did you have some time to reflect?
Not really. I'll be honest with you. I didn't even know it was 300. I actually went into the office and the assistant said something to me and congratulated me, and I was like, "What for?" I don't even know what our record is right now at the moment in this season. But I mean, I knew I needed 15 going into the season, and then after that, it was. I just didn't really count. It is a good feat. It really is. And it's a kind of a remarkable situation. I've had the luxury and, to coach at Oswego for 12 years with a lot of good players. And, the only thing I can really say, and like I told our team, those don't really mean much to me. 200 wins, 300 wins, and so on and so forth. It's just kind of day by day and year by year in the accomplishments that we take from that. But, I've got to thank everybody that surrounded me over the last 12 years, from the players and alumni, assistant coaches, my family, the institution, and providing me the opportunity to do what I do. Because really, it's a job, but it's really a hobby. It's something I love to do, and I've always loved to do. So I'm really thankful for that.
Speaking here with Scott Landers following his 300th career win as the head coach of the Oswego State Lakers, knowing that you did it all in Oswego, what does that mean to you? Because there's coaches that achieve that feat over time with a combination of places. The fact that you did it all in one place, and that being Oswego, what does that mean?
I I mean, what I take from a baseball perspective is it's very challenging. It's a very challenging place to be for an outdoor sport. And if you really take, we talked about 12 years. If you take COVID year out of it, or, if you put everything together and you have the COVID year and you have the COVID abbreviated year the following year, and we're not done yet this year. I mean, that's almost 30 wins a year. And, you play 40 games before the postseason. So I really look back and reflect at that games before the postseason. It makes me smile because everybody's like, how do you win in baseball in Oswego when there's 120 inches of snow every year and so on and so forth? And it's, you just kind of surround yourself with right people and do your thing and just can't make excuses, just plug along and do what you do. And that's what we've done.
And you said it. When people come up to you and say, "How do you win in Oswego with the snow and all of that?" There's when it comes to baseball and people are getting recruited, they might be looking down to have nice weather, to be outside, and to know that they get to play, in the South and the weather's going to be favorable most of the year. How do you get them to say yes? What is the message and kind of the secret sauce for you on why they do come? Because it's no mistake that you recruit well, you bring in good people, and they continue to be successful. So how do you do it?
Well, I think number one, you got to bring in good people that fit your culture. And for us, we try to bring in good athletes that are good players, and we can develop them not only on the field but off the field as well. And we've done a good job with that. And again, I want to thank my assistants because they're right by my side a majority of the time. So it's not just me. It's, I guide them, but guys have to come in and buy into the situation and listen and get better, and they've done that.
So when you're out there and you're recruiting, what do you think are positive selling points of this program and of what you're doing there when weather becomes a question and other questions come up? What are the positives for Oswego State?
I think the academic side of it, it's a very good institution academically, especially for the price tag. I think our winning tradition now over the last 10 years is really that makes it a lot easier. And truthfully, I think just personality and fitting in with myself and with the other coaches, and what my vision is for our program. I think fits a lot of student athletes and a lot of the families that go along with that.
Speaking here with Scott Landers, the head coach of the Oswego State Lakers baseball team, celebrating his 300th victory in the midst of this being his 12th season. But like you said, I mean, if you really break it down, if we break it down brass tacks right now, it's 25 wins a season if the season ended today for the 12th season. But you put into it everything else, which included the fact of the COVID year and the abbreviated COVID year, which is almost 30 wins a season. When you say that out loud, that you've been winning around 30 games a season, just what that sounds like when you reflect on something like that, to have around 30 wins each year.
It's refreshing. It's, I look back and it's refreshing because I've surrounded myself with the right people. The guys have listened, and it's never about the end of the season until you get there. It's just one win at a time. I'm very, very competitive. I don't want to lose. Even when we're struggling, it is, what do we got to do to get better? I don't give a lot of credit to other teams. And, I just say if we're playing and we're clicking on all cylinders, we're going to win the game. This year it's been a little tougher than the past, 9 years, but we're growing as a team. We are definitely inexperienced and new, and I think we got some guys in the right place. And, our aspirations of what we want to accomplish at the end of the year are still there. So we just might have to do it a different way. But 30 wins this season to me, is pretty remarkable at this level, at the Division III level, when you only have 40 games regular season.
Yeah, and like you spoke about, to have something like that, you said you don't give a lot of credit to other teams. You feel like, hey, we can win every game if we're clicking on all cylinders. I'd love for you to go a little bit deeper into that, because, some coaches will say, hey, we gave it all we had. We thought, we had enough, but this team's really good. You just said, hey, no, I don't give the credit to the other team. I believe if we do what we're supposed to do every game, we're going to win that game. So I'd love for you to go a little bit deeper into that, because we talk about coaches giving coach speak, and that's the opposite of coach speak.
Yeah, baseball's different than a lot of sports. You can win at any point, you can lose at any point. I think if you watch Major League Baseball, you understand that. When you're winning at a 66% clip, you're supposed to win. But there's days in baseball where you hit every ball on the screws and they go right to somebody, or the other team doesn't have a lot of barrels that day and they still put up 15 hits and they win the game, or one bounce and you lost the game. I get that. But when we're doing everything right in the way that I want them to play, even this year, we are tough to beat. And it goes back to being who you recruit, and who you recruit. Are they athletic? Do we have different parts in place? Do we have power? Do we have speed? Have we changed our philosophy to meet the standards of this team at the present time? Because we've had to do that. We've had to do that multiple times this year, because what we were doing wasn't working. Get guys in the right place. But at the end of the day, when you go toe-to-toe and you have the athletes and the baseball players that we have and we recruit, I feel like if we don't make mistakes and we just stick to the plan, that we have a really, really good shot at winning.
And like you said, you give a lot to your assistants. You give them credit for the development and whatnot. You go out there and you recruit together and find the right fit type of student athlete, and then you have to obviously help them grow and blossom and excel. Who are you looking for? Because talent is talent, and we know, okay, this guy can pitch, this guy can hit, but there's something to say about the intangibles, the things that you have to look deeper into. In 12 years, you've been able to kind of sift through the BS, so to speak. How do you do it? How do you find the character guys, the guys that are willing to learn? Because there's so much talent out there, but there's other things that you need to build a winning culture that go beyond raw talent. So how do you find that?
Yeah, you really got to dive deep into the recruiting visits and talking to them. And we make mistakes, 100%. I do all the recruiting for the most part. And all my assistants are full-time teachers and then have families, so it's tough. And they don't get paid a lot of money, so I don't expect them to do that part. I just expect them to be good on the field and have a good rapport with the guys. From that, the one key thing with us, and our numbers are down, our roster size is down from the last 5 years, and that was kind of intentional a little bit, and then obviously the transfer portal has hurt us a little bit this year. Not a little bit, a lot. But it's very easy for me to bring in guys who I think because we don't have roster limits, so compared to Division I and Division II. So if I bring in 13 guys and 11 of them are good character and are getting better, that's great. You know, 2 guys might not want to fit that mold and adjust to it, and then that's kind of a quick conversation for me. Like, hey, I'm giving you an opportunity to go somewhere else and play, but this really isn't the right fit. Hopefully it is, and you can buy into what we're trying to do. But we have those conversations. You know, the biggest things I think in terms of the student athletes is confidence and culture. You know, take all the other baseball skills out of it and the athleticism and stuff. Like, if you can mentally be locked in to what we're trying to do from a culture standpoint and from a baseball standpoint, and you can deal with failure and stuff, you can succeed. And that's what we try to preach to these guys, and most of them do a good job with it. So
that coming here from Scott Landers, the Oswego State Lakers head baseball coach. And like you said, you know, kind of sifted through it and you having to do the recruiting by yourself. At the D3 level, what are kind of the things that you feel like work against you that you've had to overcome as a coach, the adversity that you face in Division III? What's unique about it that you feel like you've had to learn to navigate through?
Student athletes, which I get, you know, that's the Division III motto, and being a holistic individual and doing, which is awesome. I don't disagree with it one bit. I think you should actually do it at every level, and they do. You know, the community service, we just got involved with Team Impact. Like, whatever we can do to impact the community and others, I'm all for that. But I think that's a big thing, because a lot of these guys, and we're seeing it now in our sport and with my team, and they're here to play baseball and get a good education. So, especially for the price tag that we provide in a public school. So, they're here because they didn't get the aid needed or a scholarship, or they just weren't good enough at the time to be a Division I athlete or a Division II and be that scholarship guy. That's where I really struggle, because we are limited in time with these guys, and I think the more time we're with them, the better off they are. Just with structure and accountability and all that, I think from that perspective, right, we can make a difference as a coach in their lives, rather than, okay, October 2nd, you aren't with me until January 25th. You know, then I don't know what they're doing, other than when they come in and tell me, oh yeah, I'm doing this and this and this. So I really believe more time that we get with them, the better off structurally they are. They know that they have people in their corner, especially the young guys. You know, but the challenges right now, the biggest challenge for us is the NIL and the transfer portal, because, you know, we just lost our top 6 guys in our lineup. 3 of them transferred Division I. And it's not necessarily the NLI to us, because, you know, our guys aren't getting it, or they're not, but it's the trickle down, you know. So, and I'm not going to say anything about loyalty, because those dudes were loyal as heck to this school, to me. I pushed them to go Division I, just like I'll push Kieran Finnegan after this year to go Division I. He's done everything for me that he possibly could, and they did as well. And the results are there. But I didn't anticipate on those 3 leaving, so it really hurt us. You know, when you lose 3 All-Americans and Gold Glovers in those 6, and 3 of them transfer, and that's your first baseman, your second baseman, and your shortstop, and you didn't really anticipate it, that's a hard thing to overcome right off the bat in a short-term process. So I think that's the biggest thing. Now, I'm aware of Finn going Division I. We've talked about it. We will recruit to that. But, when you lose your catcher, your first, second, short, center fielder, all in one shot, that's a tough thing to overcome for this year. So I'm not saying we can't win, because we're talented and we can win. We just got to put some things together.
Yeah, and speaking here with Scott Landers, Oswego State Lakers head baseball coach, you were discussing, NIL, name, image, and likeness, and the transfer portal and the trickle-down effect of guys leaving your program to go from Division III to Division I. So that's obviously speaking to the talent of it. Well, I want to focus specifically on NIL, because you said some different things. You said it's kind of a trickle down effect, not necessarily affecting the guys, specifically. But I'd love for you to go a little bit deeper into how NIL is working adversely, in your opinion.
Oh man, honestly, the NIL is more and I see it more in the Cape. In the summer, because those are the high profile guys. I think it becomes way more, from a coaching standpoint, way more cutthroat, way more unethical. And honestly, with the transfer portal being one-time transfer in the NIL, it is free agency at that level. It is Major League Baseball free agency.
Yeah.
You have to recruit your team the whole year, whether they're not there yet or they are already there. So, because at the drop of a hat, Tommy White going from North Carolina State to LSU, and that's just one example. That's probably the biggest example. Leaving NC State as a freshman to go to LSU, and it's all about money. It's not anything else. It's just money. So, and he got to do it without sitting out. So it really is free agency. Who has the ability to buy their team? I think it has to change in some capacity. The NIL won't, I don't think, because it was just brought on. But you're seeing it now in Syracuse athletics with basketball, and we hear about Adam Weitzman and all that stuff. But that's the world that we've come to, and it's created a little bit of chaos.
Yeah, you say a little bit of chaos, and I find that to be funny. But yeah, lot of bit of chaos. Go ahead.
It's a lot of chaos.
No,
and
yeah, it is.
It really has. I respect those guys at that level a lot, because it doesn't affect me. The NIL doesn't affect me. It's just the one-time transfer and those guys moving up, and the big-time guys not stealing. I shouldn't say steal. Getting some mid-major guys, and then the mid-major guys come to us. And honestly, it's with the COVID years back. Even Finnegan is getting Power 5 calls. He's a really, really good Division III pitcher. So he's getting calls from Division III, Division I mid-major, Division I, Division II, anything. So I think they've really learned with the portal. I think it hurts the high school kids right now, the transfer portal, because a lot of the Power 5s are just like, well, I'm going to wait till the portal opens up and go get some proven guys, rather than bringing in a 17-year-old freshman, 18-year-old freshman. And they're looking, to Band-Aid it and short-term it.
Yeah, you brought it up perfectly in that respect, is that it's hurting high schools and and prep school kids, because they're saying, hey, I'll just go get somebody who spent 2 years in college and I'll go from there. I mean, the transfer portal, you said it, I've said it for many years on the show here, really since it opened. I mean, it is free agency. It is collegiate free agency. The amateurism side of it is gone. You said that your team has been affected by the transfer portal. So to go a little bit deeper, now that we've talked about NIL and kind of faded into the transfer portal, just what you could say about how you have to tackle it with your team at Oswego State in NCAA Division III, because you can transfer from division to division, because you can, it's wide open now, and everybody can see you, and it is truly baseball free agency. How have you tried to tackle and be proactive when it comes to the transfer portal?
I mean, the transfer portal for us is tough. It really is, because as soon as somebody that's any good goes in the portal, there's a lot of money being thrown at them. There's a lot more, even especially at Division One. Like Division One has 11.7 scholarships, and that wasn't enough for 35 players. And now the roster's going to 40 for them next year. So they have the ability, there's more grants, and there's stacking of money. And so it's there's a lot more, what I would say, monopoly money out there for these kids. And so the portal is tough for us because they're all searching for money. Yeah. Whether they're good enough or they're not, they are. So we got to navigate it a little bit. Does it help us? Yes, but not to the extent that people think.
Yeah, and for you, like you said, I mean, with the transfer portal, you got to navigate it to the best of your ability. How advantageous are you with it? Because some coaches, they go 50-50. They say, okay, I'm going to go look at prep school and high school, half of it, and then the other half is going to be transfer portal. How much of the transfer portal do you focus on? Has it become a part of your monthly kind of check-in? Where are you when it comes to the transfer portal as a coach?
For culture purposes, I don't like, we'll use transfers as Band-Aids. Other schools don't. And I'm not saying one's right or wrong, but if you look over the course of our success, most of our guys with all the accolades, all the All-Americans except for one were four-year guys. All the All-Region, the Player of the Year, the Pitcher of the Year in the conference and in the region, like those are all four-year guys for us. And those are like your glue to your team from a culture standpoint. They've come in, they've gotten better, they've learned, they've bought into the culture. If you get too many transfers, where's the culture? You don't ever know. And you don't know what you're getting. You might get talent, but to me, at the end of the year, that's not going to win it for you.
Do you feel like you said at the Division I level, you're constantly recruiting your team every day that's currently on the roster. Do you feel that at D3? Do you feel like you're re-recruiting your guys all season long, or do you not feel that way?
No, I don't put a lot of stock in that. I don't really think about that at all. I just focus on the program and where it's at and what we got to do on a daily basis. And I was going to say, like, the loyalty part is hard at this junction. A lot of people will be mad about it. I was going to swear right there. But it's a business. It's become a business. And that's what you got to accept as a coach. It has nothing to do with you. A lot of times it has nothing to do with your program. It's strictly a business. Yeah. And that's the hard thing. So, but for me, I just have to get guys to want to stay. to be really like, I don't want to leave this place. I love it here, and I love the coaching staff, and I want to play for him. Other than that, I don't really have a lot in it. Like, it's their choice. So, but, you know, with those guys transferring, they're all grad transferring. It's not like a freshman or sophomore leaving because he's too, like, that's not it at all. And I would educate them in a little different manner, and just tell them to be real with themselves and give them the opportunity later on. But ultimately, it is up to them. But I don't put a lot of stock in it.
That coming here from Scott Landers on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Oswego State Lakers head baseball coach celebrating 300 and getting down to the reality of where we are and how hard it is to get victories when you have NIL, the transfer portal, and kind of a change in a disrespect of the amateur model, if it's even there anymore. I do have to note, Scott, before I let you go, that you said something that I found interesting in two ways, is that you stopped yourself from swearing and that you publicly said, I was about to swear right there. So, I do appreciate that as a family show, but yeah, I mean, you've been, and that just shows the real of who you are. You've always been real about this, and you have to have a passion and you have to have a love for it. So 300 wins, 450 games in total so far. What keeps you passionate? What keeps you going? What keeps you excited? Because you have Oswego, you have the Cape. There's a lot of things you're doing. You're coaching baseball basically 360, let's call it 367 of 365 days. So when you're doing this all the time, why do you still love it? Why are you still passionate about it? What keeps you coming back?
The love for the game. And like there's so many different ways as a coach to be gratified. It's very gratifying. And sometimes it's at a desk. Sometimes it's community service. Obviously winning. Watching guys grow as individuals and watching the older guys get married and have families, because that's now starting to happen for me with guys from here. And there's a lot of different relationships that you have that keep you going. Other coaches, other players from other programs. So it's a really good profession to be in. I think the other thing too is, now that my son is 9, and just being able to, on my off time, look back and just go and watch him play. I don't want to coach him. I really don't. I don't want to coach a bunch of 9-year-olds. I know it sounds bad, but like you said, I coach 365 days of the year. I don't need to coach 12 9-year-olds on a daily basis as well. I just want to watch him and as a parent, and I'll correct him on my own. And I think the other thing with that is I'm really seeing that I really enjoy is him and my daughter being around the players here and in Cape Cod. I mean, he is infatuated with them, and he cannot wait to come to the field. So that part of it is awesome, and I am really starting to grow into that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you said it, getting to see your son and daughter just enjoy it and not wanting to go out there and be a coach for your kids, but to just, for you to enjoy, for you to go to a game and for you to just watch and take it all in. What do you do for yourself? Because you're working all the time. You're constantly going. I've seen you at the Dome. I know you come out to a game or two in the Dome. You know, I know you do different things, but how do you wind down? How do you calm yourself down? Win, lose, whatever's going on. What's the Scott Landers kind of recipe of this is how I reset myself? Because, you know, I could tell you, for me, every night before I go to bed, I try to turn on some type of comedy. I turn on stand-up, or I'll turn on, you know, a show that's meaningful to me. Like, I like, sitcoms like New Girl and Boy Meets World. So I'll turn that on to kind of just fall asleep to, or I'll turn on Ted Lasso. So for me, I give myself some type of comedy, a positive message. I go to bed and I spend time with my dog. That's really the simple of my life is something funny on the TV, loving up Lily. What do you do to reset yourself?
Obviously, I'm a big sports guy, so I love watching football and baseball and stuff, and just relaxing with some friends, maybe having a beer or whatever. There's not a lot. I don't have a lot of time. When I leave here, I'm always on the run. I try to get to my daughter's events or my son's events. That lets me unwind and just be a parent and relax and just watch them grow. I'm a big Netflix guy. I'll binge Netflix all the time when I'm home. But just hanging out with people, and I don't think there's a lot of downtime. I don't watch a lot of Major League Baseball. I'll watch it. Yeah. I analyze it, but I watch more SEC Network, ACC Network. Number one, like I'm coaching those guys in the summer. But number two, it's a different game. It's more old school. There's a lot more bunting, base running. There's just a lot more tactical things than watching Major League Baseball and watching 100 with a 92-mile-an-hour slider and they strike out or hit a home run and nobody really steals. And, it's just different. And I enjoy the college game much more right now than the Major League level.
You said you binge Netflix. What do you watch?
Anything and everything. You name it. I'll watch some sappy stuff. I'll watch, whatever. Breaking Bad to Virgin River. I mean, it's a wide variety.
Now, have you seen Ted Lasso or no?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, yeah, because and somebody said to me, they're like, you would love the show because he's positive, it's funny, he's always got a special, message, and so it would fit you. And it really has fit me. There's a message that I take from everything. And one of the things is when they say, he says, he does swear, but not Ted Lasso, but Roy Kent. And he says, F fine. You deserve to feel like you've been struck by blanking lightning. And so I have to end with the fact that Oswego State, with you, in my opinion, has to feel like they've been struck by lightning. 300 wins, keep on counting, average of almost 30 a season, around 30 wins a season, constantly making it to the postseason, recruiting guys in every time somebody leaves, bringing in that talent, and finding ways to stay successful. It's one thing to have a winning season or two. It's another thing to build sustained success and to have a level and a culture and an environment that's used to winning. So I know that you're humble, but I'm going to say it. You struck Oswego and upstate New York by lightning, and I appreciate that you're here.
I appreciate the words. It means a lot to me.
That coming from Scott Landers. You owe me a drink, so I owe you one for 300, but I don't know. We owe each other one maybe because it's been a while. So we'll have to go out and have to get something soon. But as always, beyond everything, you have been a tremendous friend. You've been a wonderful human being in my life. You've been there for me in ways that you probably don't even know. And you've seen me through a lot of chapters over these last many years. So I know that a lot of people know you as a baseball coach. They know you as a successful leader. I know you as a friend. And beyond everything else, I always appreciate the time that we get to spend together. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Coming from Scott Landers, Oswego State Lakers. They have games going on today, and a few days from now, it continues to roll toward May, and I'm always excited. And he's one of the people that will I will do this for him. I'll get some chai, I'll get some tea, I'll sit by the computer wherever they are in the country, and I'll be watching those live feeds when it comes to the postseason. So always great to talk with you, Scott, and look forward to talking with you soon. Congratulations on 300. I hope that I never get to say that again because I hope it changes today. and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you to everybody listening.
All right, thanks. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. That coming from Scott Landers here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Yeah, I hope that today I get to say 301. So a lot of great stuff with Oswego State and with the Lakers. I have been spoiled, very spoiled, when it comes to the people that I've been around. I mean, Ed Gozick with the men's ice hockey. Yeah, I mean, the history of Ed and everything. I mean, Ed is Oswego, Oswego is Ed. And then now I would say that about Jason Leone with men's basketball, that he's Oswego, Oswego is him. And I'd say it about Scott, that, you know, baseball at Oswego is Scott, Scott is Oswego. And so, I mean, just tremendous coaches all throughout. And, you know, really have built my strongest relationships with Ed Gozick, Jason Leone, and Scott Landers, who you just heard from. And they're tremendous. I mean, these are coaches that I believe could win in other places, in other divisions. They're good people. Ed has been a whisperer of hockey. Jason is humble, but he's been a whisperer of basketball. They're all humble. Jason's been a whisperer of basketball, and Scott's been a whisperer of baseball. And they have made this community so proud, or should make it so proud. And I would implore you to go to the games at Oswego of any sport, including their sports, and just see them. I mean, these aren't just guys that coach well. These are friends. These are people that I've sat with, I've cried with, I've been with in the tough days, I've been with in the days where we're laughing and having a good time and sharing a meal. You know, I've gotten to break bread with all of these guys. And I'm very honored, and I'm very, very privileged to, you know, people talk about, am I in the right place in my life? Am I where I'm supposed to be? And if people stopped asking me why I came home from Florida, and the beauty of it is I go to Florida all the time, and it's basically a second home for me. You know, it's like my residency. It's my number 2 residency. But when you look at my life, I look at it and I reflect on it. You know, people used to say to me, "Why'd you come back? Why'd you come back to Syracuse? Why'd you come back to this community? It's cold. It snows all the time. Why would you come back here?" It's the people. And I came back when I had 2 choices I gave myself. And I came back and I got to spend time with my grandmothers. And when I got to spend time with my grandmothers and really got to see them and enjoy my time with them, that to me was something that I'll never forget. I'll always appreciate, and I'm so happy that I did it. Because if I didn't do it, I probably would have lived with some regret. So, you know, being able to be around my grandmothers and spend time with them when I came back home, that was an incredible time period of my life. And it meant so very much to me. You know, so you take that time with your grandmas, and you say, okay, well then from there, what's kept you here? It's the people. I didn't know Scott Landers when I moved back home. I didn't know Dave Pasiak, who's going to be up in just a couple minutes. I didn't know Jason Leone. I didn't know anybody on the Heights at Lemoyne. I didn't know anybody at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. I didn't know Dino. He wasn't here yet. You know, I had met Jim Boeheim, but we hadn't built a relationship that I would like to think we have now. I didn't know Adrian Autry. I didn't know Jerry and Alan and John Wallace, and I didn't know Rob Drummond, who's one of my best friends. So what's kept me here is the people. What's kept me here are those that, and it's been living in this sports world. You know, I have this beautiful world that I live in. I wake up every day. I don't feel like I work. Yeah, there's things you have to go through. You know, there's things with life in general, because not everybody's a nice person, and not everybody does what they say they're going to do, and not everybody is kind. But the job itself, I don't feel like I work. I wake up every day and I get to talk to people that I care about. I get to talk with coaches and players that end up becoming friends. They become part of my life. They become somebody that I would invite to my wedding if I ever got married again. And honestly, I would have to probably have the reception in someone's backyard that I know that has a really nice backyard, maybe by the water, maybe with a bunch of tents, because I'm going to invite like 700 people. And but that's the world that I live in. I get to wake up every day and I get to talk to, I'm not talking today, I didn't talk to a coach, I talked to a friend. Scott's my friend. I love Scott. I consider Scott an extended part of my family. I love him. I appreciate him. I'm grateful for him. I would love him if he had 4 wins, and I'd love him if he had 20. And of course, I know that he wants to have 30, but I love him all the way through because that's what friends do, you know? And so why am I here? Because of the people. Because I work with businesses that have really good people who are dedicated and loyal to me and me to them. Because I have great coaches and players and student athletes and alum that are loyal to me and I'm loyal to them and they're good people. Because my parents are here and I get to have lunch and dinner with them whenever I feel like it. And they're good people. Because of friends like Rob that can make me cry every single day because of how much we genuinely love each other. And we genuinely are brothers. We are family in every stretch of the imagination. He's a good person. So, why am I here? Where else would I be? I love being here. Why is Scott in Oswego? Because he's built something and he loves it. I think Scott could be successful anywhere. I really believe that. I believe that about a lot of coaches that I know. But it takes a good coach can win, but they have an ego and they're disrespectful and they're unkind and they break bridges. Great coaches are good when they win. They're good when they lose. See, I know the difference between a good coach and a great coach because when a coach loses and they still come on my show and we still talk and we break it down. When a coach loses and they run, or when a coach wins and they're just totally disrespectful, I don't want to ever talk to that coach again. I have no desire to talk to a coach who wins disrespectfully or who loses without grace. There's no coach on the planet that I want to talk to that lives that life. And I've met a few, and they are ridiculous. But when a coach wins and appreciates it, when a coach can get 300 and be kind and stay on the show for almost an hour here, when he can give of his time and continue to give back to the community and talk. What is the last thing that Scott said? Thanks everybody for listening. It's the last thing he said on today's show. Thanks everybody for listening. 300 wins, winning almost 30 a season, and he's still kind. And he doesn't like to lose. But when I talk about losing with grace, he's been on my show win or lose. He's been on my show when the team's struggling. He's been on the show when the team's heating up. And I could say that about a lot of coaches. And I could definitely say that about Ed Gozick and Jason Leone at Oswego. There's coaches that are great leaders, and there's coaches that forgot where they came from, forgot why they're doing what they're doing, that have been consumed by winning. And some of those coaches win a lot. They're featured in the movie The Mighty Ducks, right? The one that's on the other side of the Mighty Ducks. And then there's coaches like Emilio Estevez's character that believe in their team and have to remember where they came from, get a rude awakening, get humbled, and they get right. And they keep fighting. And they keep finding a way, and they don't make excuses. And that's Scott. That's Scott. You know, I've been doing this thing for almost 2 decades. And in the time that I've done it, we've had over 4,000 people on this show. And the overwhelming majority of them, kind, wonderful, grateful people. And I focus on them. I do. Because those are the people you have to focus on. You can't focus on the negativity. you can't focus on the hate. You have to focus on the good. And it's funny because I just am receiving a text right now from one of them. And this is how God works in very purposeful ways. Sean Peake, who's in his inaugural season as the head coach of the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. I did a video special with them a couple weeks ago, and I just made it its own individual special, and I aired it on Facebook.com, where you are right now, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. I just aired it as its own individual special. And he saw it this morning because I sent it over to him and gave me a positive message back. You know, the good ones live with you forever. The good ones are the ones that you will travel all over to see and appreciate, respect. So I implore you to go see Scott Landers because he's a good coach, but he's a better person. He's a better friend. He's just a good person. And I love that about you, Scott. So cheers to 300. Shout out to 400, 500, 600, and however far we want to go with this thing. I send you my love to you and your family, to the kids, and my appreciation for all that you do. From sitting in a booth with me at a really tough time in my life to sitting here today. I can't thank you enough. Because, yeah, you're a great coach. But I know you as my friend. And beyond everything else, I know I can lean on you. And I thank you for that. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Hour 2, we'll jump off the field to the court as we talk NBA playoffs. How about that? The first 2 days of this week, and we've already hit football, baseball, basketball, all in a row. And within these last few weeks, we've had softball, we have had men's and women's lacrosse, we have discussed anything and everything on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. No sport off the table, and a lot of great people in the community to share. We'll be back right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Avicolli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicolli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicolli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with your sports truly meets that thing called life. I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful morning this morning, and I'm so happy that you're spending your time here with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You know that we're with you live on the East Coast, the West Coast, the Midwest, and all around the globe on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So we appreciate you being here. We are inside of hour number 2 here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Scott Landers joined us for hour number 1, coming off of his 300th career victory, which we're very, very proud and happy for. And now as we step into hour number 2, Dave Pasiak, somebody else who I'm very happy and proud of with everything that he has done in his career as well. And he got to 300 career college wins recently too. So a big shout out to Dave Pasiak for getting to 300. Scott Landers just got to 300. So my 300 crews are going very strong, and I'm very proud of them. And just like Scott, Dave I consider a better friend than a coach. And he's a great coach in my opinion, but a lot better of a friend beyond all of that. And I appreciate him so very much. And Dave is my resident analyst of the NBA. And when it comes to the NBA playoffs, Dave is with me all the way through. So we got a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss, and of course my Toronto Raptors with the Nick Nurse release, I'll call it, is something else we have to talk about this morning as well. So let's bring him in to the Cafe Kubal Studios. Dave, how we doing?
Doing great, Dan. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and you know, Dave, I'm happy to have you here as always, and I want to start with, you know, the Nick Nurse side of things here. Just what your take was on it. It happened this past Friday. It actually happened during Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I was broadcasting live. I was talking to Dave off the air just a minute ago that Leo Routens was scheduled to be on the show to talk the state of the Raptors no matter what. I mean, he was coming on the show to just discuss it. And the release of Nick Nurse by the Toronto Raptors when they let him go, that happened within my broadcast. And Leo could have easily done what some people do out there, which I don't appreciate, which is they're like, oh, well, you know, something big happened and I can't keep my word, so see you later. You know, Leo did the opposite. Leo never for once was like, hey, I can't come on today. He said, this is the time of the press conference. I'm going to come on to the show. And we talked about it. We discussed it literally instantaneously. And, you know, he has an inside look at it with NBA TV Canada and TSN and covering the Raptors and being at their games for many, many years now. And being around Nick Nurse and the front office and Dwayne Casey before that, and just so many relationships he's built with Toronto. So I love the fact that we got to discuss that within the confines of the moment that it happened, within a few minutes of that. And now to continue that conversation with Dave Pasiak, who keeps his eye on the entire NBA and all of the 30 franchises. So I'd love to get your thoughts, Dave, on Nick Nurse and Toronto having an end to their history together.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting how things turn, right?
Yeah.
When the Raptors hired Nick Nurse, you know, they were a team that was knocking at the door for years with Casey as the coach, and Nurse, different voice in the locker room, and he was, you know, praised as being this innovative guy who's a little bit out of the box thinker from an X&O standpoint, and you know, takes an NBA championship in his first year. But they've kind of gone in reverse since then. You know, and without like really being on the inner circle, you know, it's only speculation as to what you know, what happened there. You know, if you believe a little bit of what you read, I think there's a little bit of kind of difference in philosophy between him and Ujiri, and you know, a little bit of friction between Nick Nurse and Earl Watson, the assistant. You know, over again, you know, philosophical differences and you know, how the team should play and roles for some of their guys and whatnot. But you know, in the NBA, the guys like you know, the Popoviches and Eric Spoelstra and all that, those guys are the exception rather than the rule. You know, shelf life of an NBA coach sometimes is not that great. Even
when you have some level of accomplishment. I think sometimes a locker room just needs a different voice, or sometimes your voice becomes stale in the locker room when you've got the same, when you're delivering the same message to the same guys for several years running. You look at that with Vogel and the Lakers. Takes the Lakers to a championship. A couple of years later, he's out. It's tough to speculate on. I think when the Raptors made the move